The following program contains names, places, and events that have been anonymized or fictionalized for the purposes of protection and safety. The following program is provided for entertainment purposes only, and any commentary from the hosts are strictly conjecture and should not be held as making any definitive statements about the truth or identity of any particular individuals or circumstances. If you or a loved one are involved in an abusive relationship, please call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1 800 799 7233 for support.
Happy Dating Detectives Monday! Hi,
We're
Em.
back. Hello. How are you, beautiful?
Good, how are you? You look so beautiful today.
You have your mermaid hair, which I'm obsessed with.
I did the crimping again, the waver. I
It's
really like
gorge.
that thing. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
You rock it.
I know that you guys are so excited to get into this part deal of this. Oh my God. Okay, so just to
Quite a story.
recap real quick, like we might as well just get into it. Boy meets girl, therapist and EMT, right?
Yeah, at a crisis center.
At a crisis center, which I'm sorry, but if I met someone there, I think that I would immediately be like, "Oh, this is probably someone that has good
Probably a good
credibility." Like,
person.
yeah. So, but anyways, they get serious fast.
Well,
They
they're
get to
friends first, right? For a
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
And then
And
so by the time they get together, it's like, oh, we know each other.
yeah, so it's comfortable, right? And this is someone she thinks that she can trust. They get to know the family, right? So we're getting the family involved, and that's when you feel like you're kind of in. Like you're like, "Oh, if I know the family, that's kind of comfortable."
Yeah, it's serious. So they're
Yeah.
together like friends for a year, romantic for a year, all as well.
And then he wants a loan.
Yeah, but it's 2 years in, she trusts him and it happens.
Yeah. And I that makes sense. Like 2 years is that's a good amount of time to build trust with someone, right? But the first loan she gives him, he starts to pay it off, so he's doing pretty good. And now he's building that trust more. He's like, "Hey, you gave me a loan." He's paying it off. And she's like, "Oh, great. He's good for it." Right? So that's setting the tone for,
If you give a mouse
oh,
a
maybe she'll give him
cookie.
more money later. But then 2.5 years in, he wants his name on the house. And she says, "Yeah, all right. Like, I
'Cause
trust
it's
you,
like
right?"
taxes, right? For tax purposes.
Yes. And so she trusts him. Like, she's like, "Yeah, I guess he's good for it, right?" And then the other women come into play. Ex-fiance,
Well, yeah, wait.
Alabama, Florida.
I think this is an episode where a pen and paper doesn't hurt. So, like, at this point, I have my notes, the hints of cheating come up. So, yeah, there's an Alabama woman who's an old coworker.
Yes.
She knows about him. There's the ex-fiance of
Mhm.
this man, and he still talks to her. So, the ex-fiance is the woman he was dating right before
Yeah.
Sandra, and this is the woman who lived in the house with him that she helped move him out of. So
Yes,
this
yes,
is a
yes.
woman that he's been tied to and has still talks to sometimes as needed. It makes sense if you had lived with someone, it makes sense that you might have to talk to them.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'll give him that. Yeah, of course.
And then now we've got a woman in Florida.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, so that's where it starts to get real
Sticky.
bad because she catches him. He says he's on a business trip in Indiana, and then he sends her a picture, and she's like, "I know the Pensacola airport when I see it. In fact, if I zoom in, there is a sign that says
Says
Pensacola."
Pensacola. What a
So,
dumb.
yeah, idiot. So that's when she's like, "What's going on?" But yeah, those are the 3 women that we've talked about, but there are more to come. So pens
So
and
get your pen
papers.
out, get your pencils for sure. Get your crayons and your coloring books and start taking notes.
Yeah. So she catches him in this Florida lie. So, that's when she calls the husband of the ex-fiance, trying to see if
Yes, and then it
he's
gets
still with
heated.
her or what. Yeah, so at that point, the husband of the ex-fiance gets upset. So then Sandra's
He's angry.
boyfriend is like, "Why would you call him? You spilled the beans. You're crazy." Like, not entirely denying that there might be something going on with that woman still, but turning it and gaslighting into like, you just ruined her marriage by planting that seed. And so she's feeling confused, it sounds like, when they go on this cruise that they had already had planned. Like, she's
Mhm.
confronted him, but in the way that these dogfish are good at doing, he's able to talk his way into being like, "You're kind of the problem,
They kinda
actually."
gaslight you and make you think this is your problem. You're the issue,
Ugh.
But then they go on a cruise together,
Yeah.
and that's when it gets physically. abusive. And in this episode, you'll start to see how things unfold. And there's going to be more women. So, like I said, keep your crayons.
Yeah, and I think the timeline recap is good because it's easy to think, "Oh, they were just together, like, they just started dating and she went on a cruise, like, why wouldn't she leave?" I know that's, like, the question we don't want to be asking a
Yeah.
survivor of this, but it's, like, 3 years in,
Man.
trust has been built, and, that's also just not the point. Like, the point is, why is somebody choking someone in an elevator? But just keep in mind the extent of their relationship and the trust that he tried to build and the confusion. Like, also, she's a crisis counselor. Like, she's got stress going on all the time. I'm
Yep.
amazed by her. So it just is important to remember what is the headspace at the time.
Yeah. And there's so much going on that sometimes it takes away like your focus and you just sometimes you can't see the forest through the trees when the trees are falling all around you at once.
I was just thinking that. You read my mind. I was like, what was that great quote that we got a long time ago? It's
It
so
was
good.
so great. Yeah.
But this is a really tough part too. We mentioned it at the beginning, but there's physical abuse, emotional, sexual, and financial
Trigger,
abuse.
girl. Trigger
And
warning.
it's going to evolve, and we're here for you. We say it at the beginning of every episode, but we love the National Domestic Violence Hotline, and there are so many resources. You're never alone.
And
We'll
again,
talk
when I was in
more.
Ulta in the bathroom and they had they had the good for Ulta, they had the sticker on the mirror. So when you wash your hands, you see the sticker and it says, "Love shouldn't hurt. If you need help, call this." And it was a local Tampa number for a local domestic. So I think that's really cool too. So
We're going to talk more about it in the debrief because, Mackenzie, I haven't shown you, but I've been designing some stickers.
I'm so excited. I look
And a
so
lot of you reached out and were like, I would love that. You guys should make more. So I did. I went
good
on a
for you,
manic rabbit
Hannah.
hole and started making stickers.
I
So
love
we'll
you
figure
for
out how
that.
to do that because I like that idea a lot. I love that. And I love Ulta. Another reason
Yes.
to go to Ulta. Before we get into it, I want to share an email we got over this week that was
Oh
so
yeah.
powerful and kind of brought me to tears because
Goosebumps.
we'll keep it anonymous for sure, and we don't have verification on whether or not it is the story. But we left off part 1 about the story on the cruise where she was assaulted in the elevator and she sees a woman and makes eye contact with a woman when that is happening and the doors close on the elevator, but the woman and her connect. And that was a moment for Sandra to think, nobody's really here to help me. Like, I'm alone
How
in
alone she
this.
must have felt. Yeah.
And the more that happens, the more you kind of reinforce that it's not even worth trying to ask for help because you are repeatedly reminded that that's not an option for you. But
Mhm.
this email was so special because it came from a listener who said, I think I was the woman on the cruise that saw it. We don't know if that's true, but that's not, I mean, the fact that even it's happened so much that you could hear that story and be like, I've witnessed something like this. And she explained what happened and wrote, I'm going to read a little bit. Can you just tell her I'm sorry I didn't do more? I thought about her and worried for the rest of the trip and looked for them to see if she was okay, but I never saw them again. There were cameras if she needs to look for footage. I'm not sure they'll still have it though. And then a little further down, if it wasn't her and I witnessed the same situation with someone else, let her know that the woman on the other side of the elevator probably feels the same way I do. And basically said, I wanted to do more. I think it's such a good reminder of the bystander effect, which happens to all of us. It's very hard to do something and you don't know what to do.
Mhm, and you don't even know exactly what you're witnessing. All you know is what you're seeing, you don't know the context.
Yeah, she said, I legit didn't know what to do. I should have asked her if she needed help or done something else. I don't know if it would have made a difference. And we debated that it could make things worse, which is true. It sometimes can. So I just loved that it at least prompted someone to think about what can I do next time? And also to share the perspective of the person that does care. So if you're in that situation and you don't get the help, it doesn't mean that people aren't there for you, but it's also a reminder for all of us to help.
I'm just so grateful that she sent that in. If it's not the same woman and it's a different woman, then like you said, Hannah, that means that it's happening more often in a very similar situation, and sharing your story really brings awareness to it. So, keep sharing your story. Please feel free to email us your story if you want a platform or an ear, and we'd love to be that for you. So I'm so proud of our guests.
We are all both of them at various points in our lives.
Mhm.
And that's the thing to be reminded of. And yeah, email us. Patreon is a great place to connect and get advice. I also, can I quickly shout out, I had another self-defense workshop and met a
Oh,
lot of you
yeah.
guys. It was really special. But we all were talking about like, how do we confront people that make us uncomfortable, or how do we confront when somebody else is being made uncomfortable in a way that
Yeah.
doesn't escalate the situation, in a way that doesn't make us feel like we're putting ourselves in more danger while also holding our boundaries. And we were talking
Exactly.
about like I statements, where we can say, instead of being like, go away, we can be like, I'm not going to engage in this anymore. And that was like a click for me, because I get so scared of like not being nice, which sucks. Like, who cares? Be a bitch.
Your instinct comes before your manners, always.
Always. And yet, as a girl that has trouble with that, I'm like, I need to practice being authoritative and having my boundary and knowing what
Yeah,
I want to practice the line of what I say. If I see Sandra getting attacked, I want to know ahead of time my game plan. Like, think about
exactly.
that in a way. And just shout out
It's
to
something to
people
consider.
that came to help
Mhm.
process that with me in LA. And I'll do more, but hopefully we can do it all over the
Thank you for doing that,
world.
Hannah. That's so amazing.
Oh,
I love
it's
that so much.
not thank you don't thank me. Thank the people that show up, because we're donating the money too.
Mhm.
So
I love
let's
it.
go. Self-defense.
All right, well, let's hear the rest of Sandra's story. You ready?
I'm so ready.
Let's get into it.
So the elevator opens, and again, I'm still mad, and I'm telling him that I'm mad, and he grabbed me by the throat and threw me into the elevator.
What? I'm sorry. What?
And
What?
all I can see is the woman's face with her husband walking by the elevator as he did that, as the elevator doors close. And I thought, I'm trapped. I'm trapped, and nobody will help me.
Oh my God, I am so sorry that's awful.
That's awful.
I've never experienced anything like that before.
Oh God.
And the rest of the cruise, he said he was sick. So, other than like meals or something like that, we didn't really talk or do anything.
Did anything happen after the incident? Did the woman say anything? Did he get in the elevator with you? Like, were you
We went
okay?
and had dinner. We just went and had dinner.
Hmm.
I didn't know what to do. He had my passport because he would take it when we traveled, and he did that the whole time. He would take my passport when we
Oh,
traveled. I
man.
didn't have any cell phone service on the boat, so I couldn't call or talk to anybody or anything like that.
Oh. You're just stuck with this fella.
Yeah, he had the plane tickets home.
Oh,
You can't do anything. And you gave him all your money.
I felt so trapped and stuck. I am 5 feet tall. I was like 120 pounds.
Little
And
bitty.
he is 5'10" and like 250.
Dang, more than double your size.
Yeah. And after the cruise, the abuse continued. And if we fought or I mentioned leaving, he would get really intense. Like a lot of messages, or he's like, fine, I'll just drive off the edge of the road on the way to work and
What?
stuff like
Oh,
that.
no. I
so
don't
there's
like
like
it.
a lot of emotional abuse and manipulation, and then physical abuse too. He knows
Right.
how
Yeah.
to make it so that everybody is always appeasing him.
Right. Because it's scary to hear those things.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'll do whatever you need me to do in order to make you feel better.
Right. Just stop. It's easier just to kind of be quiet and go along with it because you
Yep.
don't know what's going to happen.
Oh,
And then
man.
with all the physical stuff that he had done with me, I did not know how to respond to it. I didn't know it really was abuse, and I didn't know it was reportable. I mean, he would put his whole body and lay on me and like pin me to the bed to where I couldn't move or I couldn't breathe.
Oh my God. But a lot of people say that, like they think you can't report it, and that's terrible that we feel that way.
Right. I didn't know what that was. But he would just show up at the house in like the middle of the night drunk, or saying that he was drunk, and do weird things. And I'm like, hey, let's talk about last night. And he's like, I don't remember. I was drunk. So it just didn't seem worth it to keep talking about it because he wouldn't talk to me. He wouldn't admit he was doing anything wrong. He wouldn't acknowledge. He doesn't care if I say, no, don't do that. He didn't care if I said, no, I can't afford that. He didn't care about any of it. So he just kept doing it. So I just stopped saying no.
Yeah, you kind of numb yourself.
And it was really covert things. Like when we were at the fire station, he would throw stuff at me and be like, I'm just kidding. And everybody was there and kind of watching, which was also humiliating.
Like, we saw you, idiot.
Yeah, but the fact that they didn't do anything reiterates to you that you have nowhere to go.
And you're alone. Yep.
Right.
Oh.
And I mean, I know now that they were also just afraid of him and consequences from him. So with the abuse and the money and everything at that time, I was just trying to survive. Things got a little blurry until a couple months later when I find out that somebody at that point had filed a complaint on my counselor license.
Oh, we've heard this before.
Right.
Was it him?
It
was him or the girl?
It was the girl. She said that I was stalking and harassing her, that Jacob was my client and I was having an inappropriate relationship with him, and gained information from our therapy sessions to stalk and harass her and commit identity theft. Like I was trying to get an apartment and a passport in her name. And
well, he was right when he said, now you have enemies.
Absolutely.
Oh,
absolutely.
Goodness.
So now the licensure board is calling me saying, are you sleeping with clients? And I'm like, well, no.
He'd never been your client, right?
Right. Because she listed him specifically.
So can't they like check those records?
Right. But so I have to do that. I have to provide all this evidence. I have to get letters from all of my supervisors saying how I knew this guy or that he had never been a client. I have to hire an attorney to make sure I do everything correctly. So now I'm terrified. Now I have to make sure I have this guy on my good side. So he will write a statement saying he's never been a client.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God.
Right. If he says anything against me, this can take years.
Yeah, because then it's his word against yours.
Right. Both of their words against mine if they're working together. But that is also when things changed. Like his spending habits went through the roof. And it just, I look at it now, that's when things definitely changed. And he was spending or asking money or needing money constantly. But also in the way he treated me, it was almost like I was invisible unless he needed or wanted something. So at that point I wanted to leave, but I just felt so stuck and like I had no one to turn to. So I did go and find my own counselor to talk to.
Good.
And sit with, because I needed to talk to somebody about something.
Of course.
And again, I was so confused and I didn't know what to do. And I mean, a lot of what I was concerned about, because the first time I did speak up, all that stuff happened. And now there's this complaint on my license. What happens if I start talking about what's going on?
Uh-huh.
Or professionally, what happens? Like we worked at a crisis center. What happens if I walk into the domestic violence shelter or the police department or ask any of these questions? Because again, this woman's husband was a police officer as well.
Trapped.
So I didn't know where to go or who to talk to or what to do. And then anybody I did talk to was just making like arbitrary statements. Like just leave the state or pack up and leave everything. Which
are you paying?
But
like
I couldn't do.
Yeah, people can't just leave and change their whole life. And there are consequences for that too.
Right.
And nor should you have to.
True. He should leave.
So then in July 2022, again, the fire chief broke his leg on a call. And in these rural towns, you don't drive to a hospital. So Life Flight shows up and they airlift him to a hospital because it's so far away. It would take like an hour or two to drive. So they just fly him out. So then in the middle of the night, we're woken up with so many phone calls that he's broken his leg and it's a big deal. And Jacob's got to get up there immediately to take over and do all these things. So the next night, he packs up everything and goes up there. So then from August until April, he lived up there most of the time. So we didn't see each other a lot. So when I would see him, it would be few and far between. And it was like, we don't see each other very often. Let's just kind of have a nice time. And we're still talking about this future and planning this life and all of these things. And then this new gal starts at the fire station that he gets really invested in. And they are talking all of the time. And he is telling me what a hard time that she's having and that he is just kind of helping her out because that's his job now, because he's taken over as fire chief because the other guy's been in the hospital and is out on medical leave.
He's just doing his job, texting her at all hours of the day. Right.
Isn't he? And then all of this stuff is coming out on Facebook about strange things going on. Strange.
Like what?
So social media, they had a page dedicated to the town, a couple of different ones. And there were conversations about drunk firefighters, money missing, property missing, wild drunken parties at the house that was owned by the city where he was living. And then suddenly the fire chief was going to be coming back to work, and Jacob, out of nowhere, gets fired.
But he did what the fire chief did. He did. He got fired.
The fire chief fired him.
Why?
Well,
does he tell you, like, how do you find out he gets fired, and what do you do?
Yeah, he told me he got fired. He texted me that day and I was like panicked. I'm like, oh my God. He told me that he had a meeting with the mayor and the fire chief and was told that his services were no longer needed. And prior to that, we had he suspected that he was going to get fired. We had conversations that fire chief was jealous and insecure and didn't like what a good job he did while he was away, that Jacob was just built a relationship with the town and the fire chief was jealous that people liked him better, all of those things. And he had been feeding me these stories or these versions of the truth the whole time. So when things happened, it wasn't a surprise because he had just planted those seeds over and over and over again. And I drank the Kool-Aid. I thought everybody was crazy. So I believed everything he said, that everybody was out to get him. So a week later, we had a joint training set up about an hour or two away from there. It was a training conference for first responders. So we both decided to go. So I flew up into this tiny little town for this joint training with him right after he gotten fired. So he was a little agitated, notably. So he is on the phone and he is pacing around and he is going in and out of the room and he's doing all these things. And I am a little suspicious about just things and just kind of questioning some stuff. Like, I know I'm not getting the full story on anything. I just don't know what it is.
Yeah, and it's scary to confront that.
Right. I pull up his Venmo and see, I mean, again, he couldn't do anything for himself. So I set up all of his passwords. I set up all of his accounts. I set up all of his stuff, like his health insurance stuff. And I was I'm a great assistant, by the way.
You mean mother? You were his mother.
Right? I pull up his Venmo and I see this gal that I've never heard of or never met is Venmoing him money. The day
what?
We're sitting in this hotel room, she is Venmoing him money for their trip to Vegas, as are a couple of other gals.
Oh,
and
boy, he's having an orgy in Vegas.
What?
Right. And then I had a camera above my front door that I don't ever check. So now I pulled this up and I'm going through the footage, just trying to get any kind of hint as to what might be going on. He had He was on the phone when he was walking in and out of the house when he was unloading from one of his
Oh
trips.
no.
And he has got this gal on speakerphone and he is talking to her
What a
about their trip to Vegas. And he starts naming all of these people that he is going to Vegas with. One of them is one of the new firefighters at the station. The other one is the woman that we went to Vegas with.
No.
Years prior. So he is planning a trip with these 4 women to go to Vegas. And I am sitting in that hotel room realizing all of this and realizing, again, the hotel room is in his name. He's got my plane ticket. I can't get back to the airport because he canceled the rental car. So I'm just kind of trapped there with him. And he is in the middle of a temper tantrum because he got fired.
Ugh.
And then we go to this training. Is it Thursday, Friday, Saturday? We go to this training and we sit down in this training and I sit next to him, as you do. And he wouldn't talk to me the whole time. He wouldn't acknowledge that he knew me to anybody else in that room. And I'm like, what is going on? And there were several people there that were married or dating and they acknowledged this is my partner or this is my wife and we work together and it's great and all of those things. And he wouldn't admit that he knew me, but then he told them that he lived in a different town than me, which is the first time I had ever heard him do that. I'm
What?
like, what? I'm like, who lives there? Like, what is going on?
What are you doing,
You're
fella?
probably like looking at him from across the room like,
right?
Right. No, I'm sitting right next to him while he's doing this.
You guys, the weather is heating up. And by is heating up, I mean it's Florida. So the weather is hot and your nighttime bedroom temperature has a huge impact on your sleep quality. So if you wake up too hot or too cold, I'm always too cold. My husband's always too hot. I highly recommend you check out Miracle Made's bed sheets. They're inspired by NASA and it uses silver infused fabrics that are temperature regulating so you can sleep at the perfect temp all night long. And I would like to add that traditional bed sheets can harbor more bacteria than a toilet seat. All that bacteria can lead to the acne and the allergies and stuffy noses. It's just gross. Miracle Made offers a whole line of self-cleaning antibacterial bedding like sheets, pillowcases, comforters, and they actually prevent up to 99.7% of bacteria growth. Also, I would like to add that my husband and I can sleep in the same bed, under the same sheets, and it is temperature regulating for both of us. I'm cold, he's hot, and it works for both of us. I love it. Upgrade your sleep as the weather heats up. Go to trymiracle.com/TDD to try Miracle Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, if you order today, you can save over 40%. And if you use our promo TDD at checkout, you'll get a free 3-piece towel set and save an extra 20%. Miracle's so confident in their product, it's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you aren't 100% satisfied, you'll get a full refund. Upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. Go to trymiracle.com/TDD and use the code TDD to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40% off. Again, that's trymiracle.com/TDD to treat yourself. Thank you, Miracle, for sponsoring this episode.
I'm obsessed with romance books. And sometimes after these episodes, I need a palate cleanser and just get lost in the world of a slow burn of stolen glances. And that's exactly what Dipsy gives you. I love Dipsy. And we've gotten to talk about Dipsy and partner with them for a while. And it's special because I actually use it and have used it long before Dating Detectives even began. Dipsy is this female-founded app for spicy audiobooks and more. And it's created by women for the female gaze. It has something for everybody. I'm telling you, any kind of trope, any kind of relationship, any amount of people you want involved, it's got it. Over 1,000 spicy audiobooks crafted by a team of professional writers, top-tier narrators. And I wouldn't say that if I didn't mean it, because I've listened to some audiobooks not on Dipsy that I'm like, I don't like this narrator. They're trying to be sexy and they're just not. Everybody on Dipsy is sexy and they've got a lot of accents. It's just great. So if you're looking for a sailor, a cowboy, Pride and Prejudice vibes, you want fantasy, you want a vampire, you want what's it called in Court of Thorns and Roses? The fae, the fairies. They're in there. You'll find it. All the characters are on Dipsy. It's easy to explore. You can search your favorite genre. And they also release new chapters and stories every week. So you always have something new to enjoy. You don't get bored. I also love their wellness options. They have guided breath work. They have some educational stuff about your sexual relationship with your partner or yourself, which is part of health and wellness, in my opinion. So right now you can get a 30-day free trial plus 25% off your annual subscription when you go to dipseastories.com/TDD. That's DIPSEA stories.com/TDD for 30 free days and 25% off your subscription. dipseastories.com/TDD.
And then the next morning we get up and his phone was plugged into the charger. And I'm like, hey, is that my charger? And he starts screaming at me that I have been taking care of him for this long and I needed to keep doing it. I'm like, first off, it's 7 a.m.
Let's calm down,
It's
guy.
too early for screaming. And my question is, if it's my charger, I'm going to take it to training with us so we can charge up our phones during training.
Yeah, I wasn't like accusing you, but also, wait, that's an interesting thing to say too. You've been taking care of me this long, so you have to keep taking care of me? Like, he's
right.
nuts.
So we go to another training and sit there and don't talk for hours. And I mean, really, at this point, he keeps leaving the training to talk on the phone. He just keeps leaving. So finally, there's one more day, and I am just sitting there, like not being talked to. And I am in a training. It's a joint training. It's a first responder mental health training. So I'm sitting there with fire chiefs and law enforcement and other counselors, and I can't say anything to anybody. And I'm sitting in that hotel room, and I was able to put myself in a chair, and I've got my computer up in front of me, and I just started emailing my counselor. I said, I don't know how many emails until you can charge me for a full session, but just let me know or charge me whatever you want. I said, because I am in this room and I don't know what's going on. And I don't know if we're both going to make it out of here because his behavior is so bizarre and so unpredictable. And
Erratic.
I don't know what to do because every other time he had started yelling at me about random things, he hurt me, but there's nobody around now. And there's no way for me to get out. And there's no Uber in these small towns, and there's no taxis. And the airport was like an hour and a half away.
So you have to keep him calm?
I just did nothing. I didn't respond. I didn't make eye contact. I just sat there. And after that, I mean, that was a really important moment for me because then my counselor called me. And I turned off my phone because I didn't want him to see that I was getting phone calls or something like that. And he left a voicemail, which are transcribed so I can read it. And I'm like, well, if he is this concerned, maybe I need to be more concerned about what's going on. Because everything was like such a slow build, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, I need to be more concerned about this. So I left. And by the time I got home is when I started trying to figure out what was going on because I'm getting all this information about him from him getting fired and all the allegations. And then he disappeared for a week.
A week?
Yeah, he just vanished.
His camping trip or wherever?
Mm-hmm.
Who cares?
He's like, I just needed some time to clear my head. And then...
Oh, good. Okay, sure. Fine, buddy.
Well, it's okay, good. So did you investigate?
It was nice to have him gone. So that's when I started getting a little bit more suspicious and started like looking through stuff.
Like what?
And like seeing things. I got a little snoopy and just started opening drawers and looking in envelopes and all of those things. I checked all the finances. I figured out that he had stolen the deed to the house at some point, as well as he had had several prescriptions for Viagra that I was not aware of. So I started counting the pills and started noticing when they were missing. like when there was less and less, and was able to kind of track that to this trip or that trip. And I just started to think that he didn't care that he was hiding it anymore. He didn't care to hide it. He wanted me to find it so he could move on. He could take everything from me and then leave to move on to the next victim. So it made it clear that I was dealing with a person that was really sinister, and that was not the person I thought he was, but also he had stolen the deed to my house, so he still had all of the power. So after April, I called law enforcement to ask questions. I'm like, what constitutes a crime and what doesn't? I started calling attorneys and asking questions to see what I could do to get his name off my house. Because
Good.
at this point, I couldn't keep him out of my home because his name was on it.
And was he living there now at this point?
Now that he gets fired, he is home more.
Yeah.
He still had things at his parents' house, but they eventually kick him out.
Oh, okay.
Right. And so through the summer, he disappears. He ends up on other trips with other gals, other camping trips and stuff like that with
And
this
do you know about this?
firefighter gal from up north. Nobody will talk to me about anything, but the thing about social media is it's sometimes you can find things.
Oh, we're aware. We're pretty good at it. To a
Right.
fault.
So I found he's hanging out with his barber, and she posted a lot of stuff on social media. So that's who he was going to Vegas with, his barber and her friend, and then these fire gals from up north. And there's so many posts of them getting together and drinking and having a good time. So I'm keeping tabs on him, still just trying to figure out what is going on and how I can get myself out of this situation. And then one night, he was sleeping here and gets up in the middle of the night and goes to the bathroom. And I open my eyes and he walks in and I look and there's a new tattoo on his chest. I'm like, what is on your chest? What
like, where'd that come from?
is going on? I'm like, did you get a tattoo? What the hell?
What are you talking about?
Right. You don't see anything.
Gaslight. Wait, what was it like? Did it look brand new or did it look like he'd had it and just never mentioned it?
Well, I mean, I've seen him naked, so I mean, I would have known.
You hadn't seen it prior.
It was a big black spot on his chest. I'm like, that's new.
Oh my God.
He's like, well, yeah, I was just hanging out with the gals and they wanted to get a tattoo, and they were just using me for scratch paper. I'm like, I've never seen that happen in a tattoo shop, but okay.
What?
So that ties into all the other allegations. He ended up getting 2 or 3 tattoos within a couple months. And I'm like, this is weird. So then I see on those social media posts, this firefighter gal that he was working with, they have matching tattoos.
Oh no. Fella. No, sir.
Yeah.
I am like putting together this timeline. You're still feeling trapped because his name is on your lease and he's volatile. So like confronting him about these things that you find out is almost off the table because you're just like, what do I do?
Right. And he has another imaginary trip to Indiana, which he came back super tan from Indiana, which seemed odd.
Yeah.
I'm like, this seems strange.
That Indiana sunshine.
Oh, it's known for it.
Right? I'm like, you look really tan for being in Indiana. But that is when I'm like, I'm just absolutely done. I had started working at the crisis center. He went back to work at the crisis center. Then I went back to work at the crisis center. So we were both working at the crisis center again together.
How was that?
Adventuresome. That is when I called my sister and finally broke and started telling her some of the stuff that was going on. And she agreed to go to the domestic violence shelter with me. I called them and made an appointment to see if I could talk to somebody, see if they could help with anything. and went in and talked with one of the attorneys there.
Oh, good. What did they say? What did they do?
I went in and I talked with this gal, and I put everything together at that point.
Mm-hmm.
This is October. And I showed her what was going on, and I'm like, I said, I am afraid that if I try and end this relationship, he won't leave, because this whole time he wouldn't leave. Like he wouldn't end the relationship. He's like, let's just work it out. And he just wouldn't agree. And I couldn't make him not be here.
Yeah,
He would just kind of come and
there.
go whenever he wanted. Right.
Oh boy.
And I sat down with that attorney and showed her everything. And she's like, well, you just have to sue him. You have to take him to civil court. And I'm like, because I mean, he was taking everything I was making every month. Like over that time, like the garage door broke, the air conditioner broke. Like up until last week, it was still raining in the house because the windows were leaking and stuff like that. So I was trying to maintain the house and pay my bills while doing my job. So this time I'm working 2 full-time jobs and I can't afford anything. And I go and talk to this gal at the DV shelter, and I'm like, can you guys help with that? And she's like, no. I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, no, I can't help with any of that. And I'm like, well, how do I do that?
Yeah.
She's like, well, you just have to call and get an attorney. But everybody I had talked to wanted like a $5,000 or a $10,000 retainer.
How are you supposed to? You gave him all your money. That's why I'm here, because I give him all my money.
And so keep in mind, in 2021, he put my cell phone on his family plan. And I didn't know this then, but he can see everybody I'm talking to. He can read all my text messages. So I have to be very, very careful how I do all of these things.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. It could be so dangerous.
And like try and do it by email or something like that.
Where you can hide it a little better.
Right. So this gal is saying that they can't help me with anything. And nothing is overt enough or recent enough. It's got to be within 90 days to get a protection order if it's violence. With his name on the house, I can't bar him from being in the house. So I just sat there and sobbed, and my sister is out of her mind and doesn't know what to do. And we just left.
I'm sorry.
I just didn't know what to do. So I just kind of went home and went back to work and did all of those things for a while. But he was still taking trips out of town for whatever reason or disappearing for a while. So he wasn't home very often. But when he moved in, this was a big deal. When he moved his things into the house, we're going through his things and he's consolidating, and like we're trying to organize the garage because it's so much stuff. He opens up, it's called a jump bag, and it's the bag of stuff that they carry on an ambulance that has all the medical supplies
I'm
in it.
familiar. Yeah.
And he's showing me all of these things, and he worked at that medical clinic, and he's worked at a couple fire stations, and he has got vials of narcotics.
What?
Like fentanyl and ketamine and Toradol, dozens of vials that he has taken from places that he's worked over the years, or hospitals or surgery centers and stuff like that.
That's real illegal.
You think? That's
no good.
Real illegal. 100%.
And now I'm sitting here going, there are a lot of drugs in my house.
Yeah.
There's a lot of drugs that we shouldn't
Absolutely
have in my house.
I hate drugs. Oh my God.
And again, I'm calling attorneys. He's like, well, you can't tell anybody because they will take your house. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, if there's drugs in your house, they will take your house. I'm like, I don't understand any of this. So I'm being told not to tell anybody that this stuff is in my house.
You're so isolated and you can't get rid of it because then
there's
he'll
nothing you can
go
do.
ballistic.
No. And all this stuff is going on, and it's so confusing. And we do Thanksgiving his kids come over and we do that, and we do Christmas and have everybody over and we do that. And then, he just appears intermittently.
Try Simply Pop. I already loved Simply products. You've seen them like the lemonade, they're so good. Simply has launched a new prebiotic soda, Simply Pop, the new juicy soda. They've got 5 flavors: pineapple mango, lime, strawberry, citrus punch, and fruit punch. Pineapple mango is my favorite, but I really like them all. And you have to see what the fizz is all about. Okay. Simply Pop is the juicy new soda that happens when you combine delicious real fruit flavors of Simply with 6 grams of prebiotic fiber to support gut health. It also has vitamin C and zinc, so that supports your immune function. And it tastes really good. So I love that because sometimes I like a little fun special drink to feel like I'm drinking something fun. There's no added sugar, which you just can't beat. You have to try it. Simply Pop's really good. So go to cokeurl.com/simplypop to find out where you can try Simply Pop.
Hannah, didn't you say you got a Helix mattress for your mom?
Yes. Well, I love Helix mattresses. And then I had to get one for my mom because she was having back pain and she had the same mattress for way too long. And I was like, you have to try this. I'm telling you, she's texted me like once a week to tell me how much she loves it.
That is so funny because I really didn't understand. I didn't know the difference between mattresses. I had never tried a Helix mattress and I just got one for my son. Let me tell you, he wants to be in his bed and I want to snuggle with him in his bed. It is so comfortable. And when you order the mattress you want, you go on the website and you get to decide like if you want it soft or firm, and then it tells you
It's a
which one you
quiz.
should
It's
get.
so easy
Yeah,
and
it's like
fun.
it's like a quiz. You tell it what you want. And I wasn't sure what to think, but when it came, I was like, oh my gosh, I want to sleep in my son's bed. Like he loves
You're like,
it.
you can
I
have
love
the
it. It's
master
great.
bedroom. I'll actually be in here from now on.
I'm telling you, it was so good.
Whether you have sleep apnea, back pain, sleep too hot, like there's so many things you can plug in to help cater the mattress to fit what you need. And I love Helix. It's really great.
Go to helixsleep.com/dating detectives for 27% off site wide and free bedding bundle, which is a sheet set and mattress protector with any luxe or elite mattress order. So that's exclusive for Dating Detectives listeners. So definitely go grab that. That's helixsleep.com/dating detectives for 27% off site wide and free bedding bundle. So the sheet set and mattress protector with any luxe or elite mattress order. helixsleep.com/dating detectives.
In January, I go visit him up north. He's working out of town, and we come back. And then February is my birthday, and I catch him on the camera again.
Talking
and
on the
just
phone.
kind of like a fluke. And it's like a FaceTime. I see him planning to go to the Winter Carnival.
What an idiot.
He's like, he tells me he's got a weekend trip planned, but it turns out it was just a day trip. He's going to do his business trip, and then he's going to go take off with her and the other gal from up north and have a nice, fun weekend with all of them for the Winter Carnival.
Him and all these ladies.
Which I wanted to go to for my birthday, which I couldn't because he was out of town for work.
He probably didn't even know about it until you said you wanted to go. And then he's like, oh,
Well, it's popular. Everybody knows about it up here. It's a very popular thing.
Still, I don't like it.
I didn't know they were going or going to be in the parade and stuff like that. So while he's doing that, I am in the garage looking through things, and I see some of his boxes are opened and emptied. There seems to be things missing. And I'm like, that's weird. Like, when he moved years before, I helped him pack these boxes, so I knew what was in them. So a lot of his artwork that was on the walls was missing. A lot of other things, like he moved a bed out, he moved dishes out, he moved a bunch of things out of the garage. He's like, oh, I'm giving it to this kid, or I'm giving it to my ex-mother-in-law. I'm doing all of these things. He's like, I just want to make space for you and clean out the garage. And I'm like, it kind of looks like you're moving out.
Yeah, like little by little or something?
Yeah, and I start to think that he must have found his next victim and he's moving his stuff in with her maybe. So maybe he will finally allow our relationship to be over. But then I open up one of the boxes and I see it's all new stuff. There's some really professional photographs that are just lovely of that gal from up north.
Mm-mm, mm-mm,
I'm like,
mm-mm.
that's weird. And then there's a BDSM photo of a gal in bondage. I'm like, I don't recognize her.
Are these like framed or are they just loose photos?
These are large professional hang it on the wall photos.
Oh my God.
I'm like, that's interesting. I wonder where you got that from. That looks like a Christmas gift. But then I see these two canvases
Oh
and I
no.
pull them out and I look, and it looked like they had covered their naked bodies in paint and sat on the
Oh
canvases.
God, one of those.
And everybody had signed it.
What?
Wait. How many people had signed it?
How many people are there?
There were 3. So
Like
these
him and the
2
two gals.
yeah.
Lord Jesus,
Wait,
help.
And I mean it's very clear what it is. I assure you.
I don't doubt it. Oh my God.
And I see that, and again, my heart just drops because now all the pieces from why he got fired, like the sex parties and stuff like that.
Yep.
Because remember, there were those rumors on social media about wild sex parties at the fire station house. I'm like, oh, all that's true.
Oh man.
And then, like, the drugs, all of that is true.
No.
But there were a lot of other allegations. And I'm like, oh no.
Are they all true?
And that's when everything became like really imminent. I'm like, I know if he comes home, because again, we were supposed to work together in a couple of days and like be there at work all day together and be in this house together. And I'm like, I don't think I can hide that repulsion on my face.
No,
I
how?
don't
No
think I
way.
can hide
Don't
that.
you don't hide it.
He's going to know. He's going to absolutely know. So he's doing that thing where he's texting me, telling me he's on his way home. He's on his way home. He's on his way home. It's like, I'm looking for a flight. I love you. I want to get back to you. And it's my birthday. And he is just texting back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. He's like, well, what do I do when I get off the plane? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, what kind of mood are you in? If you're not in a good mood, I don't want to deal with it or something like that. And anytime I talk about feelings or anything like that, he would be like, well, he would either make that vague suicide threat or be like, well, I'm just too much for you and you can't handle me. Maybe I should move out.
Just threatening you so that
Okay.
you're always appeasing him. Yeah.
And so it's your fault too. Yep.
And at this point, I feel like he will want to leave because I have this suspicion that he's kind of on to the next girl. So if I can just give him an out, maybe he'll go. So I just told him, I said, I just didn't like him being gone all the time and I can't deal with that. He's like, well, I should just move out. And I'm like, I think that's our only option because it's the only solution you come up with. And then the next day, he's like, well, what do we do now? I'm like, well, I thought you were moving out.
And he would
He's like,
of
oh,
course.
so you want me to leave?
And you're
I'm
like,
like-
well, you said it. Yeah, it's just like whiplash.
Right. So
Oh my
he came home at 8:00 on my birthday, packed a bag of stuff, and took the dogs and left. And then I didn't know what I was going to do, but I quit my job at the crisis center that next day. And it was just so complicated.
Yeah.
So,
No kidding.
but I did at that point feel like he's out of my house. I don't have to see him at work. So maybe I can try and take some legal action and it won't be too dangerous for me. It took me a month to find an attorney.
Wow, really?
To like draw everything up. Because everybody was like, nope, not my kind of case. Nobody wanted to touch it. Because what I put together was just fraud. Because he had lied about almost everything.
Even if he lies about what he uses the money that you gave him for, that's a crime too. Like that's an offense.
Mhm.
Right. So, I mean, he lied. He lied about the taxes. He lied about the debt. He lied about everything to get money out of me. He lied about what he was doing with it.
Yep.
So I
Yeah, that's
finally get
rough.
this attorney to draw up and serve him with paperwork. And during that process is when I am starting to really look at the bank accounts and see everything that he was doing and all those kind of cons and scams that he was running. Like he'd ask to borrow, a little bit or take my credit card to go buy something and be like, okay, so we're going to buy this and it's going to be,
Yeah.
$100 and he would spend 1,500.
Can you talk me through the feeling of you sitting at your computer, going through your bank statements and putting together these scams? Like what went through your head when you realized that's what he had been doing?
It's so confusing. Again, it was so confusing. And I'm like, how does anybody even do that? Like it would never in my life could I have guessed to try and do something like that.
Yeah, I imagine it
There's
took a
there's
lot.
no way I would have figured out how to scam somebody that much in so many different ways. Like figuring out all the bank stuff from credit cards to taking money out of my accounts to buying things on my credit card to and there was so much it was so hard to keep track of. And
Yeah.
it took so long to figure out. So yeah, a lot of stuff happened in getting everything together for that civil case. I'm looking at everything, and then as time goes on, I started to notice that my attorney was doing strange things.
No, what?
I'm starting to see that he is not doing what I was asking him to do. Like, we're trying to do discovery and we're trying to look at evidence, and he's not answering the emails, and
Oh,
then he's
jeez.
making mistakes and all of this stuff. And the receptionist, I finally call the office instead of emailing. And she's like, he's only here every other week. I'm like, why? What? She's like, well, he has concussion classes because he was in a car accident and had a traumatic brain injury. I'm like, what?
We're
Concussion
we have
classes?
nothing left to say. We're both just staring
I
blankly.
can't breathe. I can't breathe. I'm like, what? So my attorney has apparently this was prior to him taking my case. He had had a brain injury and nobody told me.
He had Dane Bramage long before but whatever.
Right. That would kind of make sense why he takes so long to get back to me because he only works short hours every other week.
This fucking guy.
But then we're going through discovery and I'm trying to get everything figured out. And there's so much paperwork and there's so much stuff. So, with all of the property and all of the money loaned and all of these things, I sued him to get the house back and for like $250,000.
Yikes.
Wow.
But we get the subpoena back. I'm like, can we amend the complaint to just kind of reflect what we've learned here? And he's like, yeah, great. So they amend that, and I see that it was filed because here we have a state repository and we can kind of look. You can't see the details unless you have extended access, but you can see date and timestamp stuff. And I see it was filed, but they sent me the copy of the amended complaint and I looked at it and I'm like, this is the wrong one. This is the outdated one
Oh,
from April.
no.
Not the appropriate one. So they filed the wrong amended complaint, which changed everything completely.
Oh, no.
And I am desperate and panicked, and nobody from his office is getting back to me for weeks. And I finally lost my shit, and I
Hell yeah, you
messaged
did.
everybody. I messaged his ex-wife. I messaged the fire chief. I messaged
Good
the
for
mayor of
you.
the small town. I messaged everybody. And some people got back to me and some people didn't. But I had many conversations with the fire chief about exactly what had happened there. I shared with him a little bit about what was going on and then asked what happened. What happened in this little town? what is true and what isn't true. And this is when I really start to unravel the truth of what was happening. It turns out hundreds of thousands of dollars are missing from the city budget that they can't account for. They think that that was probably Jacob, but they can't prove it. And now it's 2025 and they still haven't figured it all out, which is unreal. He also told me about a lot of cheating that was happening up there when I wasn't there. Just all of the women that he was bringing up and around there that I didn't know about. He did tell him things, because we spent a lot of time together up there, so it was a pretty familiar and comfortable conversation. He said, yeah, I was really worried about you, because he had said, she's got a lot of money and I'm going to take it. And that was pretty devastating. So really all the allegations on Facebook were accurate. All of the things that I had been suspicious of, like he was spending a lot of money on people up there and financing tattoos and trips and other things where I thought he was just working really hard. He was having a good time. I also got in touch with his ex-wife, and that was kind of crazy because, like, the stories matched up so much in some areas, but I also found out what the things he was saying about me to the kids and his family, and what he was saying to where they wouldn't tell me what was going on. So he was telling the kids that we were just buddies and he was helping me out. So that's the way he could bring other women around, as well as like the same financial behavior. They filed for bankruptcy twice during their marriage. So that kind of spending, not to mention the numerous affairs and how he did them, and the things, like, of course he told me all these awful things about her. So we went back and forth on that. And she's like, well, this is how this situation happened, and this is how that situation happened. It was really enlightening. And just how the stories mirrored were really interesting too.
Mm-hmm.
And then I am looking through his Venmo, and I see back in 2021 when he is telling me I am crazy and I've ruined everybody's life, he gave that gal in Alabama $10,000.
Dear Lord.
And he is funding shopping sprees and girls' nights out and mani-pedis and...
All on the Venmo.
Right, when he is begging me for money.
Have you ever settled for a primary care doctor that had a literal 6-month wait, or drove over an hour to see the one specialist you could find in your insurance network? You don't have to do that because of ZocDoc. ZocDoc is another partner for us that I have used for years, long before dating detectives. ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high quality in-network doctors and click to instantly book an appointment. It's free, and all you have to do is plug in exactly what you're looking for, and you can filter however you want. So you put in your insurance, you put in where you want the location to be. You can specify the gender you're looking for if it's something that's important to you. And you can look through ratings and reviews and schedule. It will sort all of that for you, and you can book in-network appointments right through the app. There's more than 100,000 doctors across every specialty: mental health, dentists, primary care to urgent care. And then once you find the right doctor, you can just see their actual appointment openings and choose a time slot that works for you, click to instantly book it. And appointments made through ZocDoc also happen fast, typically within just 24 to 72 hours of booking. So you can even score some same day appointments if you use them. I love ZocDoc. I use it, and I think you should too. So stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/TDD to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/TDD. ZocDoc.com/TDD.
You guys, did you know that I have a nickname and it's Snack Pack because I love food so much, but also I'm not a very good cooker. So I love things like Green Chef. They give you dietitian approved recipes and it's perfect for supporting your wellness journey. And also, I am on a wellness journey myself with losing weight and just keeping a better eye on what I put in my body. Anyways, Green Chef offers recipes that feature fresh, organic, seasonal produce, 100% responsibly sourced proteins crafted to help you feel your best. And also, one thing I want to point out is when you choose the meals that you want, there's a Mediterranean option, and I love Mediterranean food. Hannah, what kind of food do you love the best?
Wait, it's funny you said that because I got Mediterranean too.
Did you
Which
really? Oh
yeah,
my
yeah,
gosh,
yeah.
we're the
I
same.
love it. But they also, yeah, they have anything plant-based, protein-packed, keto. I wasn't sure if I should do protein pack because I've been similar to you. I've been trying to be more clean with my eating and just not have as much processed food. And it's a lot of work. And I find that when I use Green Chef, I eat more consistently. And if I don't have something like that, I find myself not eating enough.
Not
I'm
eating
like
enough is a thing too
guilty.
that people don't
Yeah,
realize.
I'm venting right now, guys, but it's real. And having something like this changes my health and my energy and makes it so much easier to stay on top of that. And we're all really busy. We all get into different schedules and modes and different levels of stress. And this is just one of those things that makes it easier to treat yourself the way you deserve to be treated.
Yes, treat yourself and your body. They have options for like gut and brain health, calorie smart choices, stuff like that. Also, I would like to add that they have new heat and eat meals. So it's like a
Oh, that's my
3-minute
thing.
meal. Girl, if you are like so many other people, you're not alone. Like you just want to pop something in and have it ready right away. That's me. So whether it's a salad ready in just 5 minutes or a protein packed breakfast or a smoothie, or one of the heat and eat meals, Green Chef has you covered for the busiest days. And it's real clean ingredients and you can build healthy habits without the hassle. It has week to week flexibility. You can adjust your plan anytime to fit your schedule. They send you all the ingredients, you put it together, and boom, dinner is served. Make this spring your most delicious yet with Green Chef. Head to greenchef.com/50datingdetectives and use code 50 dating detectives to get 50% off your first month, then 20% off for 2 months with free shipping. That's code 50 dating detectives at greenchef.com/50 dating detectives.
Then I start putting a lot of pieces together. And also in my snap, I messaged the husband of the gal from up north.
What'd he say?
She didn't feel comfortable talking to me, but I did message him and ask, and I said, this is who I am. And I was wondering if you'd be okay talking to me and stuff like that. And we have talked quite a bit. And I mean, it's really heartbreaking because they were married. And since then, they've gotten divorced and are filing for bankruptcy
That's hard.
because of all of the things that happened. And I mean, she's changed jobs and they've moved towns. And
Yeah. I mean, this guy's
because
like
I
a
was like,
cyclone.
what happened up there? Like, I'm like, what happened? He's like, she won't really talk about everything that happened, but one of the things that I had heard that they had locked her in a back room during one of those drunken parties and wouldn't let her out in that town, that her kid had come to see her and was at the door and wanted to talk to her, and they wouldn't let her out to talk to him.
What?
And based on what I know, I believe that. And that there were other events with some of these other women where he was violent with them. And again, like people were there and saw it, but couldn't really stop it as
This is like
well.
reminding me of
And
like P. Diddy and all of that stuff going on right now.
Yes.
It's like
right.
there's so much that I bet with this guy there's
even.
a lot that happened that we will never know.
I can't even.
I am afraid of what we don't know. I mean, really, just because he could lie to me so easily, so many times with no fear of consequence, because he's just kept on doing stuff and leaves everybody devastated.
Can we go back to your court case? Because I want to hear the outcome and then I want to discuss how do I get him in jail?
Right.
too.
I couldn't get my attorney to fix the amended complaint. He refused to do it. And we sat down and had a meeting 2 days before Thanksgiving. And he told me he didn't want to do it anymore.
It's too hard.
Like, I'm like, what?
That's insane.
He's like, well, the other attorney says we're going to lose. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm like, that's his job. What the hell? What do you mean?
That's literally your job.
Right. And I'm like, well, will you give me time to find a new attorney? I couldn't even think of what to do. And I was just devastated. And I called more attorneys and I couldn't get anybody to take my case. And I called legal aid in all of these places and I just couldn't get anybody to do it. And I broke down and I think I called my parents and I was just sobbing about what was going on. And I mean, they knew some things. And my dad called a friend who called a friend, and we were able to consult with a couple of different attorneys that gave me some advice and looked over the case a bit. And we sat down with the first one, and he looked at me and said, yeah, I have a case with that guy right now. And he said that he is really struggling to do his job because of this brain injury.
Hmm.
And I'm like, well, okay, that explains it, but that doesn't help me.
It doesn't help me, yeah.
Like, because that parasite's attorney was doing a really good job. Like,
Yep.
I mean, he was hammering me on evidence and trying to force things and stuff like that and putting on a lot of pressure, but also really frustrated. Eventually, I started to see all of the emails, to see all of the things that my attorney missed, that he had refused to respond to opposing counsel and had made a lot of mistakes.
Oh, God.
So what next?
So my attorney is now saying he wants to quit. And a couple days later, he's leaning towards staying on the case, that he'll offer me a deal, like for 10 hours a month and like $2,000, he'll keep working on my case.
I'm sorry,
seems
what?
suspicious.
Yeah.
And he's like, can you even afford to do this? He's like, I don't want to be just one more guy who takes advantage of you. And I'm like, then don't.
Right. Well, so did the friends of your dad give any legal advice that was different or helpful or like?
He's like, well, your attorney can't quit. There's only certain reasons why an attorney can quit. If they have like a medical reason and they can't move forward, or if I'm trying to get them to do something criminal.
Well, they have a medical reason, right?
Right, but he would have to admit that he's not competent to do his job to do that, and he didn't want to do it. So I think he was trying just to get me to fire him.
Right.
Oh my freaking God.
But at this point, I had already given this guy $20,000. And he had made so many mistakes. The other attorney said that there's so many mistakes and you're in so much money. And the likelihood of being able to fix it all is pretty rare and could be incredibly expensive. And the only offer that the parasite gave was he would sign back the house if I forgave everything known and unknown that he's done.
No, that's not going to work out.
But that's the only offer they ever made, and they wouldn't concede on anything.
I love that you just started calling him the parasite, because that's exactly
that's how he's been in my phone for a long time.
He is. He fully is. He sucks you dry.
Yeah.
I can't. Yeah.
So so you're like
that's the
out
only
of
offer,
options.
and I kept telling my attorney, I said, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do that. I told him that for months. I said, I can't do that. Like, I have an incredibly strong case for fraud. Just do your fucking job. That's all I need you to do is do your fucking job. I said, we have a dozen witnesses that will come up and say that this guy is scum.
Yeah.
I have photos. I have bank records. I have 4 years of text messages.
You literally have everything. Like, let's be real.
Right. Just do your fucking job. And he wouldn't do it.
Oh my God.
And
Unreal. Unfreaking real.
and I am broke and the house is falling apart and it is raining inside and I am exhausted because to be a victim requires so much work. You've got to take off work and go to court. You've got to buy cameras. You've got to file for and pay for the attorney. I've got to change the locks 3 or 4 times. I've got to be aware all the time or check the cameras or keep the gates padlocked, which is not something that he has to do. So I'm just panicked and desperate and terrified. But it was around this time that I realized he was still coming into my house when I wasn't home, and there was nothing I could do about it because his name was on the deed. There were 2 incidences that I'm aware of. One of them, I came in and it feels off. Like, this has been moved slightly, but that's when it smelled like him. And I looked around a little bit to see if there was anything obvious. And then the second time is when I actually saw his vehicle come and I went the other way. I was walking the dog and I'm like, well, there's no way I'm going that direction. I'm just going to go the other way and walk around this because I wasn't sure if he would have seen me or not. And again, it's like, I don't know what he's doing or looking for or would be taking or not. So it's like the worst scavenger hunt ever to figure out. And that second time is when the keys went missing, the master keys for the house. And that one was the most terrifying because it just let me know that he still wanted to maintain access for whatever reason. But that's also letting me know that he was in control and he had power and he could do whatever he wanted whenever he wanted, which is super scary and really kind of changes how you look at everything. So, I've changed the locks twice. So in January, I didn't know what else to do. So I just had to sign that. So I cried and I signed it and I sent it in. And they did give me like the quit claim to the house that day. And that was our agreement. I'm like, the second I sign this paperwork, you have got to hand me that. I said, there's no waiting, there's nothing. So I was able to take it that day and file it with the county and get his name off my house that day,
Well, at least there's something that way, right? Jesus Christ.
which meant he wasn't allowed to come back to the house anymore.
Yeah.
Like I could call the police if he did.
Small wins.
I'm so glad you're safe, first and foremost, because he's a loose cannon that I just can't. I don't know how you lived that way, knowing he could just come in.
How?
I didn't. I have a lot of security for my crappy little house and like sensors on all the doors and cameras everywhere. My neighbors think I'm insane.
Let them. Who cares?
Yeah.
Right. After that, girls' weekend with my mom and my sis and my niece and stuff like that. My sister puts on the Gabby Petito documentary.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I hadn't watched it. I had heard about it because it's close, right?
Yeah.
After that, I started having really awful nightmares and like watching her because they showed video of her and watching her and seeing her. And that's when I figured out that I am her or have been her or have been in that position. So I decided that I would just see what I could do to report some of the things that he had done to me to the police. So I started doing that. I did file a complaint on my attorney
Good.
with the state bar, and they're doing that now.
Yeah.
But then I started filing reports on the parasite. And the way it works is it's got to be in each county or each city or each place. And anything that happens like on a cruise ship has to be reported to the FBI.
because
Okay.
it's international waters.
Right. So I reported everything. I sent photos of the drugs to prosecutors and the DEA. I reported the assault on the ship. I reported several things that happened
Good
locally.
for you. Was there a statute of limitations at all, or were you in?
Quite a bit is most of it's out. Most of it's out of the statute of limitations. There was an incident that was a sexual assault where he had gotten me very intoxicated, and then I had woken up covered in bruises. And even though I had text messages of us talking about the bruises and that night and stuff like that, I called to report that locally. You call the sheriff, dispatch runs, or the sheriff runs dispatch, and then they send it over to the local police. They're like, okay, somebody from local police will contact you. So I called them to report it. Police call. They're like, can you come in and do a report tonight? So I hop in and I drive over and I do that. By the time I get home, the parasite's ex-wife had messaged me and asking me why I would include her son in something. I'm like, what? What is going on? The dispatcher who took my report for that sexual assault happened to go to high school with her son.
Oh,
So the dispatcher started texting him, asking him about my relationship with his dad.
that's so
And
unprofessional.
So unprofessional,
And
right.
dude.
it's one of the many reasons that people don't want to report.
So she is so mad. Just rightfully so. I absolutely understand that. So
Dude, I'm fucking pissed. Like I'm done.
I'm like, well, now he might know that I am reporting what he's doing. And up until this point, he might not have. Because I mean, kids talk, and it was very upsetting for him to hear that.
Sure.
I'm sure. So he's going to talk to his siblings, or he's going to talk to his mom or family or something like that.
Of
So I don't
course.
know what's happened in their family since that conversation. I do know that the detectives called me and said, well, there's no evidence. You didn't take
Of course they did.
pictures. You didn't go to the hospital, so we can't investigate that because I didn't give them all the evidence.
And you do have texts about it, but that's not enough. Okay.
Well, he didn't say thanks for letting me assault you last night, so it's not enough.
And did you say anything about the leak of information to the Sun? Did you say to the detective that like somebody in your office shared what they shouldn't have shared?
I said, this is concerning. I think I need a protection order because this information has been shared. He's like, oh, we don't handle that. So I had to get on,
This pissing me
the
the hell
website
off.
and fill out a citizen's complaint form. And like a week later, somebody called and said, oh, that super sucks. He's like, I'm going to talk to my captain. If my captain thinks, we're going to send it over to IAA for investigation. I'm like, cool. So that's where that's at. I have no idea what's going on with this dispatcher, if they're investigating that or anything will come of that at all.
I am so upset.
The complaints with
Dude.
the lawyers can take years to resolve.
Yeah, because they have to go through all the mumbo jumbo. Yeah, it's all a bunch of dumb crap.
I've had the prosecutors and law enforcement just say, one of the prosecuting attorney said, quote unquote, that's not sexy enough for them as far as like the narcotics.
It's not sexy and oh, I'm sorry. Oh, okay, got it. What the
Right. That it's too hard to investigate the theft of those narcotics, so he gets to have them, I guess. Because they don't,
Oh
I'm
my
like, but
God.
this is, I told them where they were, and they're like, yeah, we're not going to go look. I'm like,
What?
that's disturbing.
I know you can't report him for the crimes he committed against other people, but I wish there was a holistic approach to these where somebody could be like, oh, in another county, he was involved in abuse allegations and sex stuff in a workplace and theft and was
Right.
fired for all of these things. That should factor into whether or not somebody wants to investigate. Like, I get it. Okay, maybe there's too many cases or something is complicated and you can't do everything, but like that information should be factored in, even if it's not your case to allege. Does that make sense? Am I crazy?
The small
No,
towns are so strange to work with because they just don't have the resources to do anything like that.
or the balls to do anything. I just call a spade a spade.
Well, yeah, it's so bizarre just how untouchable he is.
And that's how they can get away with little things here and little things there and this and that.
Right. I mean, with like no moral compass and none of the rules apply to him. And it's so many things. It takes so long to really figure out what happened. And people are just devastated, like filing for bankruptcy or changing jobs or so afraid to talk because they're afraid they're going to get in trouble or
Yep.
lose their jobs,
That's too
things
sad.
like
That
that.
is so sad.
I've never seen anybody do things like this before, ever.
Insane.
I've seen a lot of crazy shit.
I mean, you work at a crisis
I mean, doing the job. I was about to say,
as a
doing the
crisis
job you do,
counselor.
yeah.
Right. And I mean, I've heard some wild stories, but this guy takes the cake. And to do it like that hide in plain sight. Most people think monsters are like under the bed or in the closet or
No,
something
they are
like
right in
that.
front
They
of your
don't
face.
think, right, we're on a plane to Mexico and we're camping and fishing or he comes in and gets bed next to me.
And his daughter is part of your life. Like you're in his family. Like I mean, most domestic violence is interpersonal and within family.
But he's got your money, so that's all he cares about.
What do we do? Like,
I don't know.
how are you?
It depends on the day. Most days, I mean, the value of having like journals or text messages and stuff like that is I can see how sunshines and rainbows and stuff and optimistic I was for a really long time. I mean, it's absolutely changed everything forever because I didn't know this was possible before. It's absolutely changed how I approach people in domestic violence situations in my work. The value of just kind of sitting there with somebody so they're not alone is huge. And the value of a therapist that I had that could do that is so hard because I could see him worry about me and be afraid for me and want to understand. Or friends. I mean, I have some amazing friends that I did start talking to that live close, and they said, if you need anything, just call and we will be there in 3 minutes. Or if you need to come hang out here for a couple weeks, and I did. I've taken off and spent weekends with friends out of state and stuff like that, and they will just sit there with me, and which is amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
This is so important. I mean, if somebody listening has a friend that they think is in your situation, what would you tell them?
There's no handbook for this, so there's no right or wrong way to be abused, and you don't have to decide anything today. If it takes you a year
Oh,
or
that's
6
good
years or
advice.
10 years, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to report it, you can report it. If you don't. And everything you do is okay. Because it isn't always bad. Sometimes you laugh and sometimes you fun, or sometimes like you're so stuck. I still, people would tell me just give him the house, give him everything and leave. And I'm like, well, I'm not capable of that. Like you can't just give somebody a house and leave because you have to pay taxes on that. Or like I can't go work in another state. Sometimes it takes years to transfer my license to do that.
Yeah. Like you shouldn't have to be strong enough to deal with any of this.
And that's the thing that I've learned so much is that it takes so much work to be a victim. Everybody just kept giving me tasks to do. Like even that last detective that I talked to that won't investigate. He sent me a victim witness coordinator to give me resources for counseling, which is not funny, but she called and I'm like, why does everybody keep telling me that? I said, it doesn't matter how much counseling I do. I said, I'm not the problem. I said, what I need somebody to do is stop all of this. Like,
I'm fine. I didn't need freaking
Yeah, I don't
counseling.
want to
Right.
learn how to deal with this because I shouldn't have to.
Have to.
right. I need to stop being
Wow.
terrorized by the system that I've believed in my whole life, by like law enforcement and dispatchers and attorneys and the domestic violence shelters that said they couldn't help me with
I
anything.
can't. I am so devastated.
Like unless I was willing to move out of my own home and be homeless, they could help me for 30 days in a shelter.
What are you supposed to do with that?
That doesn't help
Literally
me.
do anything. Thank you, though.
It's also like
I'm like, that makes no sense.
that feeling of having to like you're a professional, you have a career, you built up your life, you supported this parasite, and then to have to go into a shelter and have nothing is humiliating and doesn't help your healing in a lot of ways because it's just is like keeping you down. I'm like, I just can't, it doesn't, I don't, I just want to make this better for people in your situation.
Will you keep us updated on this? I want to know more. And I know that some of our audience is going to have some kind of advice or, offer some recommendations,
Right.
and we'll be sure to send those to you.
And
There's got to be, you know what I mean? Like, there's got to be something. It can't.
Your job is to heal. Our job is to rally with our community.
We're going to rally for you. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it would be great to see other people's perspective, but it's hard because law enforcement wants to help, or counselors want to help, and they want to do all these
Sure.
things. They just can't. And it's so weird to see how nobody can help with any of it.
And then everybody's saying, this is too hard. We can't take this on. Like, well, you're a pussy. Stop.
Right.
Like,
That was
you know what I
awful.
mean?
Do you know where he is now?
As far as I know, he's still working at the crisis center and romantically entangled with that young lady, among others. I mean, because really by my last count, there was like 14 women through that 4 years. And some of them I really think were lifers. They are going to have some sort of relationship with him forever.
He's got them in the web.
Sandra, we got your back. I'm so grateful that you shared your story with us.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you for taking this time and being so honest, because this was a lot.
Okay. Well, it's a lot, right? We told you guys it was a lot. Like it's oh my god.
Poor Sandra. I really loved her and I loved her vulnerability. And there's a lot to get into. If you're new, we do a dogfish debrief at the end of our stories to talk through it, to process, to think about what we can learn. Dogfish are obviously people that are not who they say they are. And this guy had a lot of dog
fishery.
Dog fishery. He was dog fishy but yeah, no, there's so much here.
So one of the things I wanted to mention was so Sandra's a therapist, right? And I think that there's a stigma behind being someone like a therapist who needs therapy, or someone like a therapist who needs help, or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And it seems like, oh, well, if a therapist, first of all, therapists are naturally empathetic, right? But you might think like, oh, how could a therapist let themselves get into this? They should know better. But they're empathetic, like they're still humans, right? And
they're
so
still
when
humans, and also it's not the same thing when it's yourself. Like therapists go to therapy for a reason. They can't therapize themselves.
Right, because it's your own brain. And so whenever she would go to seek help, like first of all, if you're a therapist and you work in in a crisis center, then you know other people. So most of the people that she probably went to talk to, she knew. So that's kind of uncomfortable. But you might think they should know better than to be gaslit or manipulated. And that's just, I feel like, not
it makes
really
sense.
a thing. Yeah.
There's a lot of, I could see, how she would have shame around being the person that people trust for help.
Yeah, of course.
Needing help herself.
Yeah.
And I wish we could take that away from them. Like, I want to go to my therapy session next week and be like, hey, just a reminder, you can have help too. Because
even therapists need somebody else to talk to. They can't talk to them. I mean, they can talk to themselves, but you know what I mean? Like, they need someone else that they can bounce their thoughts off of. So,
well, yeah. So I get that. I really get that.
Hard for her.
That is so hard. There's a lot of self-induced shame around that. And I'm sure it's very It's not even super clear in your head. She used the word blurry a few times,
Yes.
and I marked it down because I think that is a great descriptor for so many of these stories. Like, you are just so foggy throughout the whole thing, and you doubt yourself and you second guess everything. And I get that. So that's a great point. Yeah. There's a lot. Okay. Financial abuse.
Oh, man, that made me mad. Like, just for someone to be so kind and then for someone else to be okay with taking advantage of someone like that, oh, man, that really makes me angry.
Yeah. We're not people that can diagnose, but it's like you have to have a personality disorder to be able to do something so diabolical,
You
in
have
my
to, like,
opinion, with somebody you love.
how can you really, like, allow yeah, but no I don't
Stealing
know.
like that is wild. We all want to protect ourselves, but you don't live your life assuming that your boyfriend is scamming. It's just a tough thing.
Yep.
But I think we talked about this before we started recording. After so many of these stories, we just have to get on board with the idea that if you're lending money, you can't expect to get it back ever. I think that's just across the board.
If you're gonna give someone money, just assume that you will never see it again, and if that's not okay with you, don't lend it. Like, you're right, Hannah, you just have to assume you're just never gonna you have to. Uh,
And then if you're in a case like this, the financial abuse is something that keeps people there because they either don't have the resources to get away safely and quickly,
Mhm,
and so they're waiting for that, or you're trying to get that money back, or you're
mhm.
you're hoping that it will turn around because you've lost so much, you've invested so
Yes.
much,
Mhm.
but your life is more important. And I just wish that didn't happen. And it's so interesting to think about it because I think on the outside, it's easy to be like, well, okay, they stole money from you, but they didn't do something physical or didn't, or in this case, he did. But you know what I mean? Like, it's easy to think of that as not as big of a deal,
Kinda
but
write it off a little bit.
that's kind of a good use of
No
punny.
pun
Punny.
intended.
It's almost debilitating in a longer sense because you can't help yourself. You can't do anything if you don't have the means.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's a lot of that.
That makes me so sad, and then she's like, "I don't wanna leave because I want my money back." And then it's like, "You're not gonna get it back." But then also there's like that, "Well, but I want if I stay, I can get my money back. I've already come this far, like, I might as well stay." Sunk cost fallacy, like we talked about, where
Yeah.
you're like, "I've already invested this much, I might as well stay." And then now you're stuck, and now you're spinning in circles. It's it's awful, it's awful.
She also talked about how, like, it's not stealing if you gave it to them. Like, if you gave your credit card to him and he used it for something else. I know we've talked about how if they use it for something they're not saying
That's a
they're
crime.
using it for, it's a crime, but it does seem like it gets murky if their
Yep.
name is on it or you gave it to them. And
Then it's like, "Well, you gave me permission." Yeah, that's pretty murky, yes. Oh,
we'll
man.
continue this financial conversation because it's an ongoing thing. And I would love to find ways to help support people in protecting themselves.
Speaking of you guys, speaking of supporting our guests, sometimes we get some I know some of you have pointed out some negative comments or whatever. So here's the deal with if you see us ever deleting a negative comment, there are some times it when our guests come on and tell these stories, they're telling it from a very vulnerable place. And if there's a something negative that someone wants to say,
Like,
we want
hurtful towards
yeah,
them.
like hurtful, like mean. We don't want to subject our guests to that. It's just not necessary. If if it doesn't provide any value or any like, reasonable conversation, then there's no need for it. So we're just going to delete it. Not I mean, we want to be objective, but also there's a adult, tactful, mature, responsible way to say, "Hey, I don't agree with this because of this," or whatever. And there's a nice way to say stuff. You don't have to
Yeah.
be a dick.
And a lot of you do. Like, we want people to have conversations around what they can learn from the stories, but with
Yeah.
respect. And if you're just going to add to the guest's trauma, we are protecting them. So, yeah,
Yeah,
if it's
thank you.
something,
Adding
if,
to their trauma. It's just not necessary. And it's just it's not if it's not necessary, if it's not valuable, then what's the point?
and if you have a strong feeling, talk to your friends about it. Like, we want you to
Mhm.
have those conversations. We get it. You can
Yeah.
criticize us all you want because we're public people who are open to it, but they're not. They're not influencers. They're not
Not that we would ever deserve it,
podcasters.
so be nice.
No, yeah,
but
we're perfect, but
even if we weren't, like, nobody deserves it. It's so disgusting the way
that's
some
true.
people
Be
treat each other
sweet.
online. But just be sweet. Yeah, just be freaking sweet. And
Here, I'll give you one. We got a couple messages, DMs and messages that were so sweet, so kind. And we're like, I am a nurse. Your guest mentioned that Ativan is a beta blocker. I just want to let you know that it's not. And it's a benzodiazepine. Zepazepine. I don't know how to say that.
they're both B words.
Yes, but they're not the same thing. And some
Yeah.
of you nurses out there were really sweet. And some pharmacists were just like, I just had to say something just in case somebody got misinformation. I hope none of you are getting your medical information from us, but if you are, just know that was an
Please don't.
error. And you respectfully let us
Yeah,
know.
that's respectful. That's like, hey, there's just a kind, respectful, tactful way to disagree. It doesn't, you can, should be nice. Jeez,
Be sweet.
Be sweet to each other.
But thank you for saying that. I agree with you. Couple of other things that I wrote down. Okay, I wanted to talk about why the way she got beat down over time, like
Mhm.
she stopped resisting in a way after a lot of instances of emotional abuse, of looking to get answers or help and being gaslit or rejected. And I felt that it was a learned helplessness, which I went way back to my like psychology textbook
Okay.
days.
Yeah.
Kind of like the if you can't beat them, join them
A
mentality, where
learned helplessness.
it's just
Oh, wow.
easier for everyone if I acquiesce
Mhm.
all of my power to the
A
abuser. It's easier
learned
for me. It's easier for them. Easier for everyone around me. And I kind of saw that happening, which I think is really common when you don't have a lot of examples of support and you have nowhere to go. And this all happens covertly, you know, it was happening in public. It was happening among
Mhm.
family. Like that is a lot to reiterate to someone that you might as well just shut down. It's subconscious too. It's not like she's consciously like, well, I guess I'll just give up fighting. It's why your body shuts down in the face
Yes.
of abuse. It's why your nervous system shuts down. It's a common reason for people to either stay with abusers, to defend abusers.
Mhm.
And I know from the outside that's hard to understand. I was even thinking about Stockholm syndrome, like
Yeah.
why people stay in those relationships, because you develop a strong and loyal attachment. And there's science. It's not you. You're not stupid. There's science that's stronger than you guys.
I'm so glad you said that because it's absolutely true. And that's such a good point. Oh my gosh.
Ugh. Like also like she's on these trips. She had to keep him calm because she didn't know what he was going to do. You know, she's operating from a place of, I just have to keep the peace or else I could turn it into Gabby Petito, that documentary that she watched that made her kind of click and realize that could have been me.
Yeah, and that's kind of interesting too, is when you hear these stories and you find parallels in your own story and they make you realize that that could have been me.
Yeah. It was interesting. She also didn't validate her situation until her other counselor validated it and showed concern for it. Like you
Yeah,
don't,
she like almost like it's not worthy enough to show concern for or something. Like she's, you know what I mean? Yes.
well, I hope the sticker in Ulta or the universe or maybe a sticker from Dating Detectives or just a story of dating detectives can be the thing that maybe helps you validate that what you've been through in the past or are going through. I hope you're not going through anything, but that you deserve help. And
But
then
keep sharing.
The next thing she said, this is the thing that blew my mind the most. Once she did start asking for help, she said, it's so much work to be a victim.
Yes.
Everyone just keeps giving you tasks. I was
And
dying
nothing
when
was
she
getting
said that.
done.
She's like, everyone's just like, oh, here, go to this therapist. Oh, go to this resource. Oh, they send you to
Why do I
another
have to
resource.
fix me?
Exactly. I wanted to, my heart was hurting when she said that. And I hope
That was
everybody
such a
hears
good
it.
point too, because it's true. It's like, why do I have to put in all this? But like, why can't we go for this person? And yes,
Right.
100%.
And the legal stuff, it's like, well, go do this and then go pay for this and then go pay for that. And maybe it will work. And it's like, I didn't want a full-time job.
Mm-mm.
I
It's
just
too
wanted to
much.
heal. And I don't have a solution for that. I just think that it's not okay the way the system's set up to just kind of,
It feels a little unjust. Yeah, feels really unjust.
but that was really powerful of her to say.
I agree. I agree. And Sandra, I'm so proud of you for telling your story. Thank you so much. The amount of people that just one story can touch is unreal to me. So I think that's
She's
really
amazing and she
that sense of
deserves.
community you create. I tell you guys every time, it's that sense of community. You are part of something bigger than yourself, of a
Mhm.
community that needs your story, and you are worthy of being heard. You are worthy of telling your story, and we need to talk about these things more and, make this something that hopefully happens less and less.
I believe that we can. I do think
I
that
don't I
all of
think it's
us.
possible. I do. I think it's possible.
Yeah, I do. I know it's easy to get into those social media trendy type slogans of like all men suck and like
No, yeah,
we
that's not a
hate,
thing.
like
Yeah.
life sucks. And I think we do have to hold on to the belief that things can get better or else they don't. And obviously, if like you're allowed to have your days where you're like,
Of course.
I don't want to be on the apps and I never want to date a man again. Like,
Yes,
haha,
I
been
hate
there.
everything. Everything sucks. Yes, that is 100% legit. Like, I
Yeah.
100%.
I'm not saying your feelings are invalid. I'm just
Right.
saying that as a whole, we have to stay together and hope for better because we deserve better and we can teach our sons to be better.
It's true. But thank you again, Sandra, for sharing your story. And if you guys have a story you want to share, you need an ear or a platform, please email us. The email address is investigate@thedatingdetectivespodcast.com. And
Nice.
don't forget to join the Patreon. We have the 2 tiers now. So it's the $5 tier where you get 2 bonus episodes and, updates, and the live, we have a book club and there's a live event with me and Hannah, and you can come chat with us. And what else? Like there's a
Merch
forum.
access.
Yes,
You get
yes,
early
early
merch
access to merch,
access.
and the new $9 tier will give you all of that and an ad-free listening experience. I don't know why I say that all sexily. It just sounds sexy. It's fine.
It is sexy. I think it is sexy. I think this is a very sexy podcast
I like it.
at times
Yeah.
when appropriate. We love you guys. Let us know all your thoughts, and we're here for you as always.
Keep the conversation going on social media and on the Patreon, and we love you so much. And as always,
Trust your
intuition.